So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here outside the Padalangalakuti and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought that maybe you could start with a little meditation, so you can lean forward a bit and arch the spine and look about 3 feet in front and close our eyes. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, wishing may all beings to my right be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. In every dimension, may all beings to my right be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side and our left hand side. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, our left hand side, and in front. May all beings to my right, my left, and in front be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, our left hand side, in front, behind, in all 4 directions. May all beings in all 4 directions be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, our left hand side, in front, behind, and above. May all beings in all 4 directions and above be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, our left hand side, in front, behind, above, below, all around in every direction everywhere. May all beings all around in every direction everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And before we finish meditating, can spend a little time contemplating impermanence, how all phenomena that are subject to arising are subject to ceasing. You're not me, you're not mine, you're not myself. To grab onto them is suffering. And can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So hope this finds everybody well, wherever it might be. And I'm just here at the Padalangala Kuti, which is a kuti in the village of Padalangala, below an ancient vihara, and was asked a question via YouTube actually the other week, which had recorded a video a while ago about conducive places to meditate, finding conducive places to meditate. And this gentleman asked, is there ever any benefit to, I guess, meditating in places that are more difficult? Paraphrasing here. For example, when one is running, one will sometimes add more difficult sessions, I guess, to increase one's stamina for the duration of whatever race one is going to run. So, yes, actually there are benefits to meditating in places that are more difficult. But it's one of these answers that has, the Buddha gives an answer like this. It's one of these answers that is not 100% one way or 100% another way. So the Buddha, when he set out to strive for enlightenment, he first went this route of ascetic practices, basically doing difficult things, denying himself sense of pleasant feeling through the body and doing very extreme ascetic practices. And so after doing this, he basically found that this torturing of the body was not the way to Nibbana. It was just completely trying to deny any sense of pleasant feeling. And the body was not the way to Nibbana. And so he criticizes, they call Atakilamatanu yogo, which is basically just doing difficult things that are hard to do, but may not be beneficial to one's meditation practice. So for these difficult things, because the Buddha criticized it so heavily, one tends to, Buddhist monks at least, tend to basically follow a set of observances that he laid down which constitute ascetic practices for Buddhist monks. So the foremost in these was Venerable Mahakassapa. And among these ascetic practices, there's certain ones. There's ones living in the wilderness, living at the foot of a tree, living in a cemetery, these kind of practices. So these dhutangas, there's another one actually, not lying down to sleep. So I guess you could say all of these would be staying in places. Not lying down to sleep can be any place, but if you're not lying down, the place you're staying stops mattering so much because you're sitting up. So I guess these could be classified as places that could be difficult. So the tricky thing about this is that even with the Buddha's laying down these dhutangas and recommending them, they're praised. Even with that, it doesn't mean that every single dhutanga will be beneficial for every single person. So for some people living, they might find what they call Rukamula Senasana. Actually, this tree right here is a good example of Rukamula Senasana. You can either sleep here without an umbrella tent, which is the more rigorous version. You can sleep with an umbrella tent, kind of like a mosquito net. and stay under the tree. Basically have the tree as your roof, more or less. Some people, when they do this, may find that their mind inclines towards it and their practice improves when they do it. If that's the case, then this is a good, difficult place to stay. If it's the case that one goes to do this staying at the root of a tree and one's practice doesn't improve and one's mind doesn't incline towards it, then it's not an appropriate, difficult practice. It's not an appropriate, difficult place to stay. And the same would go with staying in a cemetery or staying in the forest in general is considered a Dhutanga practice, staying in the forest. With that, there's these different types. I mean, there's different types of trees. There's different types of forests. There's different there's different environments where one can stay in the wilderness. And basically what one wants to look for is a place that's conducive. So with people's bodies, people have different kind of inclinations as far as temperature goes with their body. And this inclination towards temperature is something important to watch out for when one is looking at staying in difficult places. If one's body is kind of built for a cold climate and one goes and stays in a very hot place, even if it's very isolated with little noise, then one can start to suffer health problems. And this is one of the things that one wants to watch out for in doing difficult practices in one's meditation, is that it's possible, and actually really common, relatively common, one tends to hear about it enough, that especially young monks will go and do difficult things that are hard on their bodies, and what happens is they end up injuring themselves because sometimes it may not have been a beneficial practice, and sometimes they may have taken it on too much, beyond the level where it's beneficial. So staying in difficult places, adding these kind of difficult sessions, or I guess you'd say, to one's meditation practice is something that one has to observe. And the Buddha gives this simile of a cook watching a cook watching his master to see what the master takes. It's kind of used in a different context. But if the master takes sour food, then he provides more sour food. If he takes salty food, he provides more salty food. And in the same way, through gradual experimentation with these Dhutangas, one can gradually learn which types of places are conducive to one's meditation practice. So this is always a thing that one watches out for, is this difficult practice actually improving my meditation, or is it making it worse? One of the funny things about those difficult practices too is that people tend to like them and praise them. So if they see somebody who's doing really difficult things, they tend to give more praise to that person. If they see somebody doing not difficult things, they tend to give less praise to that person. So these difficult Dhutangas, difficult places to stay, difficult forest environments, staying at the root of a tree, whatever it might be, one wants to watch out, make sure that one does it in a location that's conducive to one's practice. One wants to make sure that one does it in a degree that's conducive to one's practice. So for example, if one is staying at the root of a tree and one starts to get sick and finds that that staying there too long is not good for one's health, then one should go. If one stays there for a certain period of time and finds that it's one's meditation is failing there, then one should stop staying there and leave that place. So both the conducibility of the place and the duration for which one does it are important. Or intensity, I guess, might be a better word. So this is the case as well if one takes on practices like not laying down to sleep. There's kind of this story. Actually, my teacher, senior monk at the monastery where I ordained, he in Thailand at that time, all the monks would take on these difficult practices, and he took on this practice of not laying down to sleep. But it wasn't conducive for his body, so he started having all these seizures. He would have seizures when he didn't get enough sleep in the past. And so one time he had a seizure and actually started biting his tongue. It was like biting it off. And thankfully there was another monk there who was an ex-army vet. And he took his belt and folded it up and stuck it in this monk's mouth so he couldn't bite his tongue off. So anyways, that session ended, and they took him to the hospital and I guess got his tongue stitched up. And he came out of the hospital, and Ajahn Chah was sitting in a shop, I guess, or outside the hospital, and he was sipping this Coca-Cola And as he was sipping the Coca-Cola, he looked at the Ajahn, who came out and said, "Oh, take it easy." So it may be the case sometimes that not lying down to sleep is beneficial for a week, might not be beneficial for several months. So one always has to gauge and balance the degree to which one does these things, the place to which one does these things. And then sometimes as well, one of the challenges that arises in choosing to do these things is that if people start to praise one for doing them, and start to think, oh, this is a person who is doing these difficult practices. If one stops doing them, or decreases the degree in which one is doing them, then people will praise one less. So this is actually one of the challenges in taking on staying in difficult places, doing it in appropriate degree, in appropriate place, and then when it's time to go, being honest about whether or not it's beneficial for one's meditation practice, and then going, even if it's something that other people will not praise one for. So the Buddha did recommend quite a lot going to stay in places like the forest, going to stay at the root of a tree, going to stay in a cemetery. But as with anything in the Buddha's teachings, Buddhism is a wisdom tradition. One wants to approach these practices with wisdom. One wants to approach them from a framework where one is evaluating whether or not they're beneficial for one's meditation. If they're beneficial, then one should do them until they stop becoming beneficial. If they stop becoming beneficial, then one should stop. And it's in this way that the framework for one, the practices that one takes on, the external ones, is not the external practice itself, but its effect on the mind. Is this something that is helping me develop in the Buddha's teachings or not? So always the Buddha's teachings tend to turn us back to observing the development of the mind, to developing the mind. So long as one finds a difficult practice that is conducive, then one should do it. And these practices were praised by the Buddha. So leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody has a great day wherever it might be, and wishing all the blessings of Dhamma practice.